Political fanaticism on campus keeps getting more intense, but at the same time also more routine. At New York University, librarian April Hathcock says that violence by Antifa isn't simply indefensible, but necessary. Quote, "Fighting oppression is messy," Hathcock wrote in a recent essay, "and that's okay. It's still vitally worth doing." So far, there are no signs that Hathcock's job is in danger. Alan Dershowitz is the author of Trumped Up. He's also a retired Harvard Law School professor who has frequently spoken on various campuses, including last night at Columbia University in New York, and he joins us tonight. Professor, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
So you are a First Amendment absolutist, self-described, and I think your career attests to that. Where's the line? Is it okay, from the perspective of a school administration, to have an employee advocate political violence?
Well, I think employees are different than students because they're supposed to be role models. Students are supposed to listen to them. NYU is a private university, and I think the president would be well within his rights to fire a professor who advocates violence, particularly to students, because it's students who are joining Antifa. It's growing by leaps and bounds, and he's justifying not only violence, but violence to suppress free speech and academic freedom. I guess the implication of what he's saying is if a teacher gets up in class and pronounces a view that he regards as sexist, it would be okay for the students to get up and beat up the teacher. Right. Or like the student the other day in New York, in the Bronx, pull out a knife and kill a fellow student who is expressing a contrary view. Where does it end if one side can use violence to stop oppression? Oppression is in the eye of the beholder. What does the other side do in response? It'll be warfare.
That is a wise point that is often overlooked by the advocates of squelching speech. So you've said recently that you are considering suing Berkeley, University of California at Berkeley, for suppressing free speech. Explain your case.
Well, I was invited by a group of students to speak at Berkeley about Israel, and I generally am supportive of Israel and the two-state solution. The Berkeley administration has said that they won't allow me to speak because I didn't give them 8 weeks advance notice. But there's an exception to the 8-week rule. If you're invited by a department, you don't have to give an 8-week notice. Now, right. Who's invited by departments? Radicals, liberals, people of the left, and anti-Israel speakers. Speakers like me, a moderate liberal who supports Israel, we generally don't get invited by departments. So what we've done now is asked a number of departments to invite us. If no department invites us, having invited people on the other side, we will sue them, arguing that the 8-week rule is a cover for content-based discrimination against moderates, liberals, conservatives, and supporters of Israel.
What do you think you'll find when they produce the schedule and list of speakers they've invited to campus?
Well, I have no doubt that anti-Israel speakers are invited by departments all the time, all over the United States. And often when an anti-Israel speaker has been invited and groups want to have me come to present the other side, the school won't invite me. The departments won't invite me. That happened at a number of universities. And we're testing Berkeley at this point to see if it happens there. Look, this is not being done for test. I'm going to California to visit my members of my family, and I was invited to speak at the school, and I wanted to present to the students the liberal case for Israel. And if Berkeley won't let me do it, it's a public university, and I have a legal recourse which I intend to take. I hope Berkeley will allow me to speak. Either a department will invite me, or the school will change the rule, because the rule has all kind of potential for misuse. It says you need to give 8 weeks if you're a high-profile person. What does that mean? If the President of the United States said, I want to speak at Berkeley, they would make him wait 8 weeks? What if some liberal activist, famous actor or actress decided to speak? You think they would really make them wait 8 weeks? I think it's much too vague a term to satisfy the requirements of the First Amendment for a public university.
Yeah, Noam Chomsky is not waiting 8 weeks to attack Israel on the campus of Berkeley. Is there any precedent for a suit like yours?
I've never heard of a precedent for the 8-week rule, so there's no precedent for my suit, but I think it's a very strong suit. I think Berkeley will realize it's a strong suit, and I think in the end they will allow me to speak. But if they don't, they have to comply with the rule of law, including the First Amendment.
You're a brave man. Alan Dershowitz, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.